Welcome back, welcome back. Sitting here thinking about my last video, the bad boy thing. And like anything, I usually start searching the Bible and stuff and cuz it always has the answer. If you have the knowledge of life and experience of things within you, if you don't know anything or never did anything and never seen life and never you're not gonna understand the Bible. Um so I'm looking for the answers of what's wrong with these women's minds and everything, and I end up stumbling across this video, and this guy was talking about this prophecy that I know about, that I may have mentioned or whatever, but I don't understand how it's gonna happen. I didn't get it. And that's because I keep telling yous, if you read something and you think you gain knowledge from it, or it sounds good and you're like, oh, I gotta, oof, that's, you better go over it again so it can come to you. Now, the prophecy he's reading is that in Isaiah, it's talking about the future and how women, there'll be women for one man, and they'll be like begging this man, like, please marry me, I need to take your name so I can get rid of her approach. And before it's talking leading up to that, right? And how the women are, the Lord's describing how the women are acting and how they're dressed and how all these different things are going to be taken away from them, and then that's what's going to lead up to them, like they're everything, they're going to learn how much they don't need a man the hard way. And when they do, and they realize that, we're all they got, and they're on the streets. I didn't catch that part last time. Well, the hundredth times I keep listening to this verse and all this, whatever. So it named all these jewelry and all the makeup and all their nice clothes they do and all the things these chicks are like now. And it said something's gonna happen, and all of that's gonna get taken away from them, and they'll be on the ground. What we call now is the streets. Homelessness. How do you lose out all your jewelry and all your fancy clothes, and then you're on the ground begging some man, please marry me? I said, wait up. The pride of these women are out of control. There's no way. I see women that they are homeless and they ain't begging no man to marry them. And then it hit me. It wasn't talking about like one at a time type shit. The event that I see that it's saying now, it's going to happen so hard. And there's going to be so many of them on the streets. See, when you put a bunch of women in one area and it's not good, can women adapt? Men adapt to their environment and make it better. When women get to a harsh environment, they don't make it better. They look for a way out. How you get off the street? If all these people are on the street, that means there aren't jobs like that. Get it? How do you get off the street if you can't go get your job back and whatever? Something happened where obviously living changes. Now, it could be nothing bad. It doesn't have to be anything bad. We just went through C-19, and look, a lot of people lost their jobs. It wasn't like a nuclear bomb went off or something, all this devastation, but it was devastating. Now, the thing that gets me that I want to also bring up, because when I was watching the guy's video, he's talking, and he's I don't know what his nation was. He looked like maybe a Caucasian or maybe a Spanish type or maybe a blend, a mix. I don't know, but I know this: when you learn the Bible and you start actually paying attention to it, and you stop trying to make it say what you want to say, you start understanding the Bible is for the children of God, the chosen people, right? You know what I mean? Now, these prophecies are only talking about them. I hope you guys understand that. Now, there are prophecies that have to do with everyone, all of us in the world, and what may happen, what we're going to do and stuff. But there are a lot of specific verses and things that the Bible's talking about, and it only goes to these people. Now, how you'll know when they're talking only to Israel, which 90% of the book is, so you know, it always starts off, and the person that's talking announces who they're talking to. See, the Lord doesn't start talking prophecies and blah blah blah, whatever. He doesn't start talking without letting the reader know who he's talking to. And every time I keep thinking he's talking to the world, see, I thought this prophecy was for the world, for everybody. Because, you know, it's getting crazy out here. A lot of men, we don't get women anymore, and, you know, it's crazy and all that. But as I do as the Bible says and believe no man, because I'm listening to this guy, and I'm like, all right, something in my heart tells me stop listening to him and go open up the book for yourself and read it. Now, I have my own book, but I'm a lazy fuck like the rest of you. And it's hard to read. It's boring. And like I told you, well, maybe I said it in my last video, I'm not sure, but I learned different. I learned visually or through the ear. I could read the book, but it takes me more time to learn and understand. But when I listen or I watch somebody read it, I get it faster. I can picture what you're saying. Other people can't put pictures in their mind, so they can't learn that way. Now, anyway, Isaiah chapter 1 literally starts off like any other thing, and he literally says he's talking to the children of Israel. And the prophecy that he starts speaking about, it directly says this is a prophecy for the future. And when it describes, to me, what I'm starting to realize about how to know what time the Lord's talking about, because the future could be the book was written so far back then that it could have been any time. But if you pay attention to when he describes things, and then you pay attention to what time you're in, you can see. But a point like this, when it describes the women and how they're dressed and how they have all these things and how they can do all these things, right? They have all this attire, and he's only talking to the children of Israel. in the future, like the book says, the children of Israel are supposed to not have a nation. They're supposed to be enslaved, and they're supposed to be on the bottom of society, getting stomped out in every way. You don't know your real name. You don't know your history. So, to me, those are clues of who's who. Because all of you, if I ask you where your grandfather's from, and you can say somewhere, you're not Israel. If I ask you what your nationality is, and it actually goes back to a country, you're not Israel. Because Israel's not supposed to know where they're from. They're not supposed to know who their forefathers are. They're supposed to be dressing and acting like all the other nations that they live in. They don't remember who they were. And as it's talking, it says the women of Israel will be like this, and that the women of Israel will rule the household, and the children shall fall by the sword. And the good guys won't be there. Like, it. So, what nation of people do you know that where women rule their homes? We're not talking a couple of people. No, we're talking 80% of your people. You can go to any one of their houses, and the mother is the breadwinner of everything. She's the only one in the house. Father isn't there. Whose nation is that? Who that sound like? It doesn't sound like everybody in the world. Because if I go knock on somebody's door right now in a house, I guarantee you a father's there. I guarantee you he rules that household. And his wife is not dressed up in all this stuff. They have money for it, but they're not doing that. They're investing and buying nice cars and stuff. Now it says that once everything's taken, their independence or whatever is what it is got them acting like this. Once that's gone, and they have to face reality, they're gonna fold up and they're gonna start begging the men of Israel. It didn't say they would beg. It didn't say every woman in the world is gonna want to be with every man, 7 woman for every man. It said, it's saying that the children of Israel's women are gonna do that to their man. And like I said, when I look around, I don't see everybody's household like this. When I think of your whole entire nation of people. But I do see it. Now, I'm not sure where I'm going with this or where to take it, but I know for a fact that time is coming. It really is, because perfect example. As I watched the Kev Samuels show for this year, I just found him this year. And I started watching all his older stuff, not all of it, but a lot of older stuff. And I seen how he's talking to men for these years, and then started watching all the stuff he's doing with women, right? And what I noticed is all these women, from good-looking black women to the ones that aren't, skinny to fat, have money to living in the projects. All of them were wanting what Kev says is a high value man, right? They all want this black guy to be all these things, right? And I thought then, like, wow, I'm watching the prophecy come true right now. Like, all of these women want only one, the high black guy, right? And then he died. And I was like, damn, like, so much for that plan. Like, him trying to get us together and everything, like, but it did bring a lot of attention to all of our women. I could walk down the street now, and if I talk to a black woman and mention his name, they're going to know. They've seen something. Doesn't matter if they like him or not. They've seen it. Now, as I'm learning today and watching Isaiah, I said, okay, this doesn't match up with Isaiah. Even though I thought this was the time, it's not, because they have everything that the book was saying. They have all these trinkets and jewelry and the makeup and the ankle bracelets, and they're living it up. And they were chasing Mr. High Value. But that's not what the prophecy said. And it was way more than 7. 100% of our women wanted, wanted to be with them, or at least 90. If you break it down to 10, that's 9 of our women wanted to be with one man. The Lord said 7, so that was close, but no cigar. Now, we all know high value men ain't taking all of them. We know it. When they wake up and realize it, which they know it, but now that it's exposed and they wake up, who are they going to go after? They know they can't be chosen by these guys. They're not fit, friendly, and all that other stuff, right? Who are they going to go after next? The average guys. The dudes that are not high value, just valuable. Workers. Men. Men of the Lord. Now, it didn't say, I gotta keep listening to it, but I'm so quick to want to make a video. I wanted to, It didn't say that those men would choose them and take them. Maybe it will say it. I need to listen more. But if it doesn't, that's crazy. To my average men, I don't know if you're Israel or not. I don't know if I'm Israel or not. I'm just a black guy. I barely can maintain one without problems, and I gotta go through so much just to fucking have just a fucking, it's a joke. I couldn't imagine if I had 7 of them begging to be my wife now. At all this struggling and all, imagine, because when you beg someone to be, beg, that's all, you gotta think, I ain't never begged somebody without thinking about the situation and realizing how much I need that. So that's what makes you beg. And wow, I couldn't imagine turning it down. 7 different broads that are like, yo, listen, dog, we understand the Bible now. We know about polygamy and how y'all are supposed to use it. That's why y'all running around now. I couldn't imagine saying no. But like I said, it didn't say we were gonna say yeah. So what's gonna happen and what's gonna make us say no? Oh, yeah, I forgot. I'm getting older, and they are too. I don't think I'll be taking 7 old broads on. All love, all praise to the Most High. Shout out to you, Kev. Shout out to you, man. I see you. I see what you was doing.